Sanz, and I will be doing my descriptive speech on science fiction and its influence on daily life. Science fiction may seem too far-fetched to some people. However, many of our technologies are based on those technologies from science fiction. In 1869, Jules Verne published a book titled 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The book featured a submersible vessel called the Nautilus. This vessel was able to travel underwater to innumerable depths and incredible miles. The vessel had double hulls and electricity and capability to turn seawater into drinking water. It also had galleys and watertight compartments. Verne's imagination designed the Nautilus 24 years before Simon Lake, known as the father of the modern submarine, used it as inspiration and built a real-life submarine named the Argonaut. The imagination and creation of these fictional technological advancements gave way to the development of these ideas and are some of the most widely used technologies in our daily life. First, I'll discuss the examples from science fiction past. Next, I will discuss the modern-day versions of those examples. And finally, I will discuss about some examples that are still being worked on today, but are not reality yet. The modern submarine was inspired by an 1870 book titled 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Jules Verne wrote the book in 1870, and out of his imagination, the Nautilus was born. The Nautilus had electricity and watertight compartments. The vessel was able to turn water into drinking water, which was used a process called distillation. The Nautilus was able to travel up to 5 days without servicing and traveled extremely long distances. In 1964, the television show Star Trek showcased for the first time a gadget called the communicator in an episode called The Cage. The communicator was a communication device that allowed subspace communication. The communicator allowed direct contact between individuals or via the ship's communication system. The crew carried handheld communicators that flip open. The top section contains a transceiver antenna and the bottom contains user controls and a speaker and a microphone. In 1968, the movie 2001: Space Odyssey featured technological features and gadgets like HAL 9000 and the Newspad. HAL 9000 was capable of voice command recognition. The Newspad allowed the characters to read the information and the latest news. Now that I've discussed the examples of science fiction technologies in the past, I'm going to discuss the modern versions of those examples. Known as the father of the modern submarine, American inventor Simon Lake had been inspired by the idea of the undersea vessel, the Nautilus. And during his exploration, ever since he read Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in 1870. Lake's innovation included ballast tanks, divers compartments, and the periscope. His company built the Argonaut, and it was the first submarine to operate successfully in the open ocean. Martin Cooper, the director of research and development at Motorola, credited the Star Trek communicator as his inspiration for the design of the first mobile phone in the early 1970s. Modern flip phones strongly resemble this original Siri's communicator. Siri and the tablet are technological advances seen in the 1968 movie 2001: Space Odyssey. Siri is a voice recognition program just like HAL 9000 in the movie. Tablets were first seen in the opening sequences of the movie, when they were seen reading from a thin tablet during the initial flight, the news and instructions of the day. Now that we learned about the modern versions of the science fiction examples, we're going to learn about some examples that are still under development. The tricorder body scanner will be able to measure blood pressure, expiration rates, ECG, and other diagnostics. It will be more accurate since now we get blood pressure from the arms and the stress imposed using a pump. Smart refrigerators will allow people to use a screen, and the screen will be on the door, which will show the inventory of the contents of the refrigerator, and then it will let people know what is inside without having to open the refrigerator. Universal translators will soon break down the barriers of understanding between cultures. The translators will grammatically and phonetically will translate any language and or dialect in the world. Science fiction has themes that will never become a reality. However, human ingenuity and imagination has managed to make some of those dreams into reality. We must encourage and inspire future generations to keep working to make them real.